Okay, there we go. So today I have Michael Quinn, a good friend of mine, a river buddy of mine who entered crypto in 2017. And I was surprised by his journey and growth and how he immersed himself into the space, took actions, because I'm coming from an era before that, 2013. And usually when people enter and they just kind of they speculate, they gamble a little and stuff. Um, and they just end up like quitting. But Michael didn't quit. So Michael, yeah, it's all you, man.
Yeah, I kind of got kind of like driven into it because like basically in 2017 I was kind of like looking around to basically wanted to invest. I wanted to find a way to make money for the future. And then one of my friends told me literally just get into Bitcoin. I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm looking at stocks and everything. And then after diving down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, it was kind of like history from there. And literally, like even during the crashes and the ups and the downs and everything, it was kind of like you come for the money, but you stay for the community because the community rewards you more than the money is going to do it in the long term.
I believe community is really important too. Like even with my kind of investments and stuff, I I don't know if I lost money, like all my money, and I don't want to say how it's a large chunk of money, but I have my community with me and they're supporting me, and we're just gonna. It's a weird feeling, man. I think more people should have this feeling, be exposed by community and people that have your back and are willing to move forward with you.
Yeah, because like you can't pay for like for me, it's kind of like the same thing as like you can't pay in terms of like you can't pay for human interaction. Yes, of course you can pay for them, like, hey,
So,
hire someone to be there to talk to you as a therapist and everything. But in
yeah,
terms of like actually caring about you and really wanting to have your well being and the community is usually there whenever shit happens, like stuff hits the fan and everyone's kind of like all in the same boat with you.
yeah.
It's the same feeling because everyone's like, all right, what do we do? Instead of just kind of like going off because like there's even some of my friends during the bear market times I would like literally just message them. I was like, hey, like I
Hmm.
haven't heard from you for like a few months and everything. I was like, what's going on?
Hmm.
And they were like, I just kind of like quit for a little bit and kind of like see travel the world or did whatever. Like some of them took profits and traveled the world. Some of them were just like, hey, I don't know what to do, blah blah blah. And I was like, as long as you're okay, as long as you're finding a way to provide value and having a purpose, having a sense of purpose, just take the journey slowly. Sometimes, sometimes it's to where it pops off, you make money, cool. But other times, if it doesn't, then just still remember that the community is there for you. And the ones that are there with you during kind of like the downwards times are going to be there with you even more during the upwards times.
Yeah, of course. Can you explain your background? Like, are you on Mars? I mean, the moon?
So this is the Bitcoin Citadel on the moon. This is from I think it was like Tone Vase back in November. It was like during the COVID time frame, November of 2020. So he kind of like posted it out with this artist that just kind of like had different backdrops. So there was like one for Singapore, one for Vegas, one for like there's a jungle one and everything. So kind of like decided to just stick with this one ever since. It's been about 3 years.
It's beautiful though, man. I'm like, damn, that's your future, Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice.
And also for
Um,
this too, whenever I have calls, people will be like, "What is that on the background? Like, where are you? What is this?" And I was like, slowly just orange pilling them to get into crypto.
yeah, I love it. I love it. Can you tell us about your project, Decentral, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I'll kind of like go to like the beginning portions of it to kind of have the full story. So in 2017, dived into crypto, really wanted to go head first into it. I had got an opportunity to go into crypto marketing, which at the time I had no experience. I had nothing. Literally, I didn't know anything to do. But what I did was I had dedication. So basically, I still have a full time job, and after that full time job, I would come home and I would still grind through another like 8 hours of just finding ways to create content, finding ways to basically learn more about marketing, going into courses, learning about traditional marketing and everything, seeing what works. So like tinkering with smaller communities, and I ended up working with a few pretty big companies. Um, and like till this day, they're still pretty big. So like one of them is Polygon. I worked with them back in like 2018 to 2020 when they were considered Matic Network. So all the way up to the rebranding and everything. Did a lot of their consulting work in the beginning portion, and from there was able to learn about a whole brand new, basically A whole plethora of like different companies, ecosystems, how things operated, which campaigns worked, which ones didn't, and then kind of like dove more into the community portion. So after that, I kind of decided, well, me and my friend decided to create a conference company. The reason why for that one is basically we what the next step of marketing. So basically, like the day to day traditional stuff is like you do copywriting, you do kind of like ad work and everything. But afterwards, you want to find ways to market outside of that instead of the online portion. So we wanted to find a way to create that. And best, the next step is basically events. So from a online perspective now to a physical perspective. So we crafted together our first online summit back in it was 2021. So it's been 2 years, and that one we had like 300 plus speakers. Like we had Mark Cuban on there as well, and a few other big headliners. And from that, it was basically just asking them, "Hey, would you guys be interested in this type of formatting?" But we crafted and we were able to, through our connections, be able to bring in a lot of heavy, heavy speakers. And we noticed that within the industry, not like, especially at a lot of conferences, was that it's very focused on a certain parameter of like, this is what you have to talk about. You can't, go outside of the lines for that. We made it to where even if you're competitors, you go on the same panel together. We had no exclusives. We wanted it to be where the ecosystem actually um, discusses with each other, even if they're building on separate protocols or separate chains and everything, to actually, basically break down those silos, even if it's for 2 days, just to discuss some of these topics because it affects the entire industry as a whole.
That's really cool that you just try to like bring everyone together. So just emerge and then, you know, exchange ideas and stuff, learn from each other, right? Basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like the one of the things in crypto is called WAGMI. We're all going to make it, but what
Hmm.
I say is we're all going to make it if we work together. If we don't, you know, together we rise, divided we fall. So if
Of
you want to
course.
fall as your individual ecosystem, you can, or you can work together with everybody. And we actually hosted our first in person conference called Decentral in
Mhm.
Miami in 2021. We had around like 5,000 people. So that was
Mm.
kind of like the first moment of like everyone likes what we're doing.
Nice,
Everyone
dude.
likes the way that we're kind of collaborating and placing it together. And
That's
since
very
then, we've had like three additional conferences so far, and we're launching out another two major conferences this year, and like around we have a whole nother thing, but it's basically a global circuit of events
mhm.
that's basically a worldwide tour.
I'm seeing your website right now and it says I see LA in June. Is
Yep.
that's what's going on right? Oh, okay,
So
okay.
so here's the funny thing about why we're creating that one. So we have multiple brands under our belt under Decentral, but one of them that we were waiting to launch was GM Summit, which is games and metaverses. And we noticed that E3, basically around that time frame, it's basically around E3's time frame, that a lot of blockchain, a lot of gamers don't like the word blockchain, NFTs, or anything. So for us, we wanted to kind of break that stigma and create a way for them to actually learn about basically how the other companies like Riot and all the others are able to monetize their data, you monetize all of their assets. And then let's say you get banned in the game, you know, you can't do anything. You can't get your money back. You can't do anything.
Mhm.
Um, this is kind of like early in the day. I was also one of the hardcore gamers. I play like MapleStory, CS:GO,
Ton.
Diablo.
Yeah.
But the main thing for me was to exploit as much as I can in those games. So I would hack like nonstop, and I would sell accounts and everything. Um, but once you get banned from that account, it's basically like you lose all your hard work.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
we wanted to let them know that there's a different alternative, and also at the same time too, it's not going to be where there are AAA games studios that are coming into the blockchain space. So
Mhm.
we're using it as an opportunity to let them, let everyone know that it's a growing industry and it's going to only get bigger.
That's amazing, dude. Um, to add to your point on, I guess, community previously, I feel like for myself, right? Like I had made some money in crypto, right? But it didn't feel like I could enjoy it, because I've been alone for so long, like, like 2013, 2014, no one was willing to, jump in with me when I told people about crypto. And after that, it just felt weird, right? I mean, you made money, but it's like, are you happy? Like no one is there, the community, right? So you're trying to build the community, win together and celebrate, I think is it's what's so important. So
Yeah, it's because like if you own a yacht but you have no friends to share it with, that's a lonely boat, man. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like that same thing as like you need to have people around you that are going to stick with you, and
Mm-hmm.
those are the core ones that are going to be there, whether it's good or bad. And if I can bring anyone up along with me, then let's do it together. But I'm not going to force anyone to get into crypto or kind of like all that stuff because like once again, it maybe not be their interest, maybe just mine, but at the same time, if there's a way that I can win, they're going to win too.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, you're so nice to me because I think it was like last year on my birthday, like you sent me like $100, dude. And I was like, dude, that's awesome, man. You didn't have to. And I really appreciate it. I want to like try, once I make this up, I want to pay it forward, so I'm trying. So yeah, I really appreciate it, Michael.
Yeah, because like for things like that too, it's like, we for me as a person, whenever I'm winning, everyone wins around me. Like I'm a very giving person. Like for me, it's like I don't care too much in terms of fiat. That's just like my mentality of like getting into crypto is like fiat is a different type of mind mentality for me. It's not about the money, it's about the people that stick with you. It's like I so here's something funny. I actually had one friend who was kind of toxic at the time, but I didn't know,
Mm,
and he would keep on borrowing money from me. But same time, I'd always give it to him because he would need it.
mm,
After a while, I was like, "Hey, I don't need you to pay me back or anything. It's just have you improved just to
mhm,
make sure that you use this money for, whether you're paying rent or whichever. It's like as long
mhm,
as you're improving and getting out of your circumstance." After a
mhm,
while, I found out it was a toxic environment,
mm,
so I decided to say, no more. But
mhm,
the lesson for that is basically I lent this guy like $500 or so. But if the friendship is worth $500 to break, I'd rather pay that upfront than to wait 2, 3 years later down in the road and then pay even more, leading up to it. So, you could pay someone for interactions and everything, but it's not truly interactions, right? It's not truly friendship. So, like, if you pay for someone for friendship, basically, like me and you, we go out to eat and we, back and forth, we pay for each other's dinner. That's a separate thing. But if it's kind of like a one-way street, usually that thing gets cut off pretty quick. And it's like, I'd rather have a lesson cut short than to have it prolong on. So that's why, like, during your birthday and everything, it's like, hey, like, you're a homie. Like, we've been homies for a while. So I don't mind, making sure that you had a great birthday.
yeah, man. Like it's still memorable because I'm bringing it up, like so I really appreciate it. So
I actually
I
don't
owe you.
remember that though,
You did though. I have the timestamps. So, but yeah. So yeah, thank you, Michael. On the topic of like toxic friends, right? Um, I feel like I may have a few of those too, and I'm trying to like gauge it out and see what's up with it, and then like I feel like my way, you should probably go my way because it's when it's you're happier, um, more people win. So yeah.
Yeah, for toxic, so like the toxic environments is that you need to gauge it depending on your
Mm,
interest with them. If you feel like something is not gonna, whether it doesn't have to be it's all me or all
mm,
them. It's like as long as you're getting value out of it, right? So it's
mhm,
kind of like that thing is like it's a two-way street.
mm,
If one way is just continually giving and giving and giving,
mhm,
eventually it's gonna stop caring because it's like, hey,
yeah,
you're just leeching me for money. Or the
yeah,
same thing as the other way. It's like, hey, you keep on taking. You
mhm,
don't feel bad as an individual for doing that portion. At least
mhm,
provide some value back to that person because once again, they're providing either their time, their money, or their energy to kind of
mhm,
make sure that they have this relationship with you.
mhm,
So whether it's not even if it's a non-monetary kind of like relationship to where you guys are just exchanging knowledge, it's the same thing as like for that portion is making sure that both persons' times are valued and also at the same time providing value back and forth. So that's why usually like people will have mentors. You don't pay
mhm,
mentors, but
mhm,
mentors provide you information, provide you
mhm,
education and things like that.
mhm. That's cool. I feel like a lot of your like kind of wisdom is from maybe like based upon like sounds familiar to like Naval Ravikant. Do you follow some of his stuff? It's a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm getting some
Mine
Naval vibes.
mine's all from basically trial and error. It literally
Yeah,
is.
so yeah,
So I place myself out there, and it's
mm,
because like
I do.
for me, I'm a very curious person. I want to learn every single thing that I can in the world. Of course, I
Mhm,
can't. Right? There's too much
mhm,
knowledge in the world of
of
different
course.
subjects, but if I get interested in it, it's basically trial and error. It's like, hey,
Good.
especially with relationships, hey, how do I make this work? How do I provide value back and forth? It took me a while to find out like what. So the way that I do it is like if I want to build a friendship, it's like, what do I want from that person in terms of what I can give? So let's say if I
Mhm,
want to create a friend and have a friend, I would look at it as, how do I provide value to that person so that I would like myself? Right? If I'm in a friendship and I don't like the way that I'm acting, then I have to change, or else it's not gonna work, because then it wouldn't be beneficial for the other person. So I always put myself in the other person's shoe to make sure that, am I doing something wrong? And if I am, I need to correct it. If not, then, are they doing something wrong? But just kind of always seeing different perspectives, because this helps in marketing too. So like different perspectives of different users as well drives a lot of different retention rates and things like that.
That's crazy. Can you explain your shirt? Cause I see it's a builder's
Right.
gonna build all the views, dude.
Builder is gonna build. Biddle.
Man.
So so this was one of our, so we had like multiple slogans, but in 2021 we had "Wag Me, we're all gonna make it." Um, Funny thing was, in June of last year, before the Terra stuff, our shirt literally said, what was it? It was JPEG rich, crypto poor, and it was a joke towards like the NFT community in terms of like, hey, I bought so much NFTs that I don't have any more crypto. And then Builder's Gonna Build is basically what we wanted to do, is like focused December of last year, which is like a few months ago, where FTX, 3 Hours Capital, like all that stuff was happening. We noticed that our conference downside in terms of like attendees, like across the board for every single conference, was like down. So for
Mm,
us, we wanted to find a way to say who's basically the ones that are remaining within the industry. They're the only builders left. The speculators have left. So
mm.
it's kind of like a great thing to give to everyone. Loves this shirt, by the way. Everyone's
It's a
like
good shirt.
always
It's a good
asking
shirt.
me.
It's awesome, man. Did you design it yourself or?
Yeah, well, the team did, to kind of like, we all put our ideas together.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Um, what are what are you excited about for the year for 2023?
2023. So this is the year that we're kind of like going into international expansion. So where we're doing like 10 plus events throughout the year. Two main conferences, but the other ones are like more like side events and everything.
Mm,
What I'm kind of like excited for is basically being able to reconnect with everyone across multiple regions. So like Asia, Europe, the US, multiple areas within the US. But most importantly, just kind of like seeing who's going to be left within the space in terms
mhm,
of, you can kind of tell whenever people go through the bear cycle and they stick with it. And those
mhm,
are the ones that you really want to be with, because then again, that's my tribe. That's the people that are going to stick with it with me. And I want to find a way to help provide value to them. Even if I don't get any value in return in the beginning portion, it's because to truly give is to not expect something in return. And that's what I want. I want to give back to the industry and see how the industry flourishes.
That's really cool. I've been trying to learn that as well. Even like I guess my dad was a giver as well. He gave a lot too, and I think he gave too much. And then me, sometimes I'm a giver as well. But you make mistakes and you learn from them, I think.
But
So
it depends on the perspective though, right? So let's say he's a giver and he likes to give. You can't take that value away from him, even if because to you it might be a separate thing. It's like, oh, why are you giving this person, $10 on the street? While to him, it might have been like, hey, there might have been a backstory of when he didn't have anything and someone gave him money, right? So it's kind of like that giving back portion. So it depends on the perspective. You never say that giving is ever wasted, because
mm,
giving is still the act of giving, as
mm,
long as it doesn't have intention of pulling back and saying, I'm giving you this and you got to give me that. Like
mm.
quid pro quo is, I think, what the quote is for, well, what it is for like giving and accepting something in return, expecting something in return.
Dude, one memory I have with another memory was, I think we went to Beyond like a couple years ago, right? And
Yeah.
then you proposed, right? To is she your wife now? Or
Well, we're getting married on December 30th. So soon.
oh, so congrats, dude.
Yeah.
Congrats. That was yeah, I was so happy. I was like, oh shoot, he's proposing. That's such a happy time, yeah.
Yeah, I
Nice.
wanted it to be, kind of be memorable. And at the same time, it was like I wanted to invite every one of her friends and all of my friends and everything too, to make it to where it's like, you know, no one suspects a thing. Only two people knew. So like one person in my family and then one person on her side. So
Mhm,
basically like her friends, I told him, I was like, dude, you need to bring everyone here. Like they
mhm.
have to go. They have to go. And he actually forgot about it, but I ended up convincing everyone to come. And then afterwards, he's like, "What? You proposed? Oh yeah, you told me."
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Ah, how do you keep track of stuff? Are you just on Twitter or, Discords or?
Mostly Twitter. So Twitter, I just browse and I'll kind of like post once in a while and stuff. I'm mostly a lurker on Twitter. I'll message if people know me. People know me. I don't
Mm,
like to be the person that's like, "Hey, I'm here." Like
mm,
yeah. If you know me, you know me. If you provided value in the space, I will reach out to you and kind of like ask you questions.
mm,
But most of it is just kind of like Discord gets pretty congested because there's so many groups.
mm.
So mostly it's like Twitter and like Twitter and Telegram.
Are you involved in any like specific like NFT communities or anything like that?
So I've left a lot. It's
Mm,
just because kind of like for me, different communities have different vibes, and I think that NFT communities are super super early. Like I was one
mm.
of the ones that was like early into like Clone X and kind of like Bored Ape Yacht Club and stuff like that.
You
But
bored apes? You got the ape,
was
the monkey?
was was
That's
I don't regret it. It's because like for on top of that too, it's like kind of like different communities, it's different interests and everything for each one. But now I'm getting into more of like the gaming side, the crypto gaming side, because like that's like where I really really want to be. Like I freaking love gaming. Like I've gamed for what the first game I played was like I was like 4 years old, all the way until kind of like all the way through high school. Like I made money playing games. Actually made more money playing games than like regular jobs. So
what? So you're like a Twitch streamer before Twitch, sort of,
no,
or
no, no, no. I was a gold farmer that hacked and sold gold into those websites back in the day. Uh, that was kind of like the fun part. I was the power leveler too. So basically, you wanted an account at a certain level and you wanted it a certain class. Like my services were there, but across multiple
Michael.
games, even like CS:GO, I would do boosting. So like elo, like rank boosting, even League of Legends too, elo boosting, things like that. Diablo was mostly the gold stores until it kind of basically Blizzard said no to it. They kind of like made it all weird. Um, Maple Story was probably like craziest one. Not a lot of people know Maple Story, but Maple Story is like an Asian game that every Asian kid played, like everywhere. I controlled the free market in one of the servers by basically just I would have like 3 computers running nonstop with like 6 clients on each, and each one of them would be hacking or kind of like, depositing money into one of the what we call mules. So basically these accounts are called mules and I would drop money into it so that if a hacker account gets banned, all the items are in another account and then I'll
Oh,
sell them onto the websites and stuff like that. So I remember my mom, I was like 13. My mom was like, "What are you doing with PayPal?" And it's like, "Why is my bank account having $2,000 show up?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just, my money that, I made online." And she's like, "You selling, you selling stuff or, like drugs or anything?" I was like, "No, no, 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 no." I'm showing her how I'm doing it in the game and, actually paid for a lot of stuff during that summer, so she was kind of happy because we were going through some pretty tough financial stuff.
you want to share a little about like your, I guess, family background and stuff as well, or?
Yeah, yeah. So, let me see. I was born in California, and then kind of like when I was around 10ish or so, we moved to Houston. And from there, it was kind of difficult because like California is there's an Asian community there, and when I moved to Houston, there wasn't a really big Asian community, so growing up was kind of a little bit difficult because there wasn't a lot of Asians, and at the same time, there was a lot of racism that was kind of like involved.
Mm.
So for that portion, it was kind of like I had to stand up for myself so I got into a lot of fights, a
Uh,
lot of fights.
a fighter? You're a fighter?
Well, back then, I mean,
Damn.
it was a different type of mentality because, like, back then it was kind of like anyone that talks down about Asians, like I was the one that would be the one to go fight. Because for
Wow.
me, it's like I wanted to stand up for my culture. So like throughout middle school and high school, like I would just get into arguments and then that would just lead to another thing. But I always stood my ground. Like even if I'm getting, beaten up and everything, it's like, hey, I will get back up because like you're now talking about my personality and the way that I'm, growing up. I don't have control over it, but I will stand my ground. So
Dude, that that's really cool, man. Your pride for like being Asian American, it's incredible because I feel like I didn't have as much pride, with it. Like, I mean, I felt like it was too much effort to fight for my identity sometimes, you know?
I would fight for my voice, and what I would do is some people call me the bully's bully because like whenever people bullied others, like I would be there. I don't care if the guy is bigger than me. I would say, hey, what you're doing is wrong,
Uh,
and you know sometimes it'll lead to actually fighting, getting suspended and stuff. But it was kind of like the thing for me was protecting the ones that couldn't be protected. It didn't matter about race. It didn't matter if they're Asian, Hispanic, black, white, whatever. Protect them as much as I can. And whenever it came to fighting, I just like, hey, the consequences of me standing up for myself versus being quiet about it and letting it continue, I rather, either A, get beaten up and get suspended and all that stuff than to not have my voice heard. So it outweighed the cons of it.
yeah. Damn, that's freaking cool. So like, there's a few connections like I can make for you that are similar kind of vibey thing. But yeah, uh, um, there is one future podcast guest that I have that's really, he has a lot of pride for being Vietnamese, and I haven't experienced that, personally as much, So I feel like once I get his perspective, I could kind of gain from that, I think. So
It's
yeah,
it's also the fact that like you think about it, you grew up with with this culture, like your family is this culture, and also at the same time, it's like the values of you know the values of their ancestors and everything. So it's like if let's say for example, I don't stand up for someone that's Vietnamese, or even if they're another race and everything, it's kind of like disrespecting their elders in terms of what they're trying to bring and keep involved, right? Like everyone's trying to keep their culture because there's certain things that everyone does together and stuff like that. And let's say, for example, if it's on the street and let's say someone's beating up an elderly person, like I'm not gonna lie, you've seen a lot of the kind of like articles and stuff like that in like California where like elderlies would get beaten up just because they're Asian. It's like,
yeah,
would you let it, would you let it just happen like that, or would you step in? And that's kind of like the thing for me is like I would step in. I don't care if
yeah,
something happens to me, but that's someone's, someone's dad, someone's mom, someone's brother, someone's sister. So it's kind of like just making it fair to where it's like don't discriminate and stuff like that. So yeah,
yeah.
that's just the way that I am.
I think I'm really similar too, dude. Even though my mom would be like, "You'll be dumb. Don't do that. Don't risk your life." But I don't know, man. You know?
But life isn't worth living if you don't make it enjoyable and meaningful, right? Like, yes, I can get the snot beaten out of me, but am I proud that I stuck up for someone? Because like I'd rather have that happen to me than happen to someone that, let's say, an elderly person, or like my grandma passed away a few years ago. So it's kind of like I'm thinking in my mind, it's like, what if that happened to her and no one said anything? I would have been pissed. I would have like, I don't know what I would have done. So it's like the same thing as like just making sure that your neighbors, once again, your community, right? People that are living with, around your area. It doesn't matter what about like if it's your neighbor, if it's your friend's friend and everything. It's kind of like protecting your tribe because like you guys are going to coexist alongside each other. So might as well make the most out of it because if you push life in terms of not creating experiences, then you'll just have regrets at the end. So I'd rather
Of
have
course.
someone smile, someone smile and have a laughter with a neighbor or anything compared to saying, damn, I should have talked to him before he passed away or whatever. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to live the same life just to try to reduce regret as well. So it's amazing, bro. Like how we're really kind of similarly minded, and I feel like a lot of people aren't like that. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of like just the way that I am in terms of like I know like not a lot of people kind of like have that same mentality, but that's just the way I choose to live my life. It's because like for me, it's like how you were saying like you don't want to live without regrets. The way to do that is not regret any decision. So always think about it before you act. But at the same time, it's like weigh out the pros and cons and see the good, the bright lining of it. If this is something that you want to do, if this is not something you want to do, but a lot of people interact without thinking. Same thing for like relationships. I was telling earlier about just giving, 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 taking, taking, taking. It's like if you continue on that cycle, you're not gonna have yourself happy. So just might as well try to make the best out of it, but try to not have anything to where you regret. It's always gonna be difficult, but if you always see the silver lining of what happens, like for me, whenever something bad happens to me, it's like, why did that happen to me? But at the same time, it's a lesson. So this lesson is a little bit of like basically you keep lessons every single time so that you improve. If two things happen at the same, happen again and again and again, that means you haven't improved yourself as a character, right? You keep on
Yeah.
allowing it to happen.
Mm.
So if you're a giver, 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 and you feel like you're taken advantage by everybody, it's because you don't allow yourself to, cut off that mentality. So it's going to continue on going until you learn your lesson.
Damn. Wisdom. For you, can you share some like epic like war stories, battles that you've gone through or something, any of that stuff or
None, none.
none? No, no battles, no struggles. It's
No,
all
well,
smooth
well,
sailing.
well. Okay, so in terms of battles, I guess I don't know if I should say this, but okay. So whenever we hosted Decentral Miami in 2021, we had a very particular opponent. It basically Miami is not our city. We understand that it's not our city, but what we do is we try to provide an area for them to, come and enjoy, and then try to support some of these events that are going on throughout the years and everything. We went up against another conference that just blew their budget like crazy in terms of like production, all this stuff, but they had less people come to their event compared to ours, right?
Oh,
And we are not bankrolled at all. Like we are not bankrolled in any terms or any way. So it's like for us, it's basically what we can provide for our community and our ticket holders is like what we can, and we're trying to optimize that as much as we can so that we can basically give them as many value and many services as we can. Compared to someone that has an unlimited budget, it's really difficult to compete against that. But at the same time, people understood that we were more for the community and we weren't there for optics. We were there for kind of like the growth of the industry as a whole. And that was a really hard battle to kind of go against. And then even during 2022 as well was kind of like going against those bigger opponents. So it's kind of like a David and Goliath story. It's always constantly happening just because like
yeah.
we are a newer company and everything. But the way that I wanted it to be was basically have it to where we don't want our opinions and voices to be skewed. So we always try our best way to see what's the best light for the users and the attendees that are coming to the events compared to how do I make the most money out of them. We actually had one of our friends for a while kind of like going to the same path, but for him it kind of shifted in terms of how do I make as much money out I can out of these people. And I'm like,
Mhm,
that's not the way to go. That's
mhm,
something that you don't want to have. You
mhm.
want to provide value, but once again, you're pulling that take, take, take mentality. It's gonna get cut off.
Yeah. Wow. And like on your journey, have you ever had any like low points, emotionally, how do you, because your mindset's just like really positive.
I I did go through a really, really rough patch to where I didn't know what the hell was going on with my life. I didn't know what direction to do, what to kind of expect. Um, and I decided to kind of like sit down and really look at like what's the problems. It's like, why are you depressed? Why are you sad? Like, why is your life not going the way it's gonna be? Like, I list down all the things that it's like, here's what's wrong, here's what's wrong, here's what's wrong, here's what's wrong, here's what's right, here's what's right, here's what's right. And that's when my mentality shifted. All the things that I placed down as wrong, 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 wrong is because of me. It wasn't because of anyone else. It was because of me. So I started switching slowly each step that I wanted to kind of shift and say, hey, like I want to change this. So in order to do that, I have to work harder. So let's say, for example, I wanted a better job. Same thing for that is like, hey, I have to work up, make sure I save up money, but also at the same time, apply myself. Because if I'm just in a position where I'm just not applying myself, I would never grow. And one of the videos that really helped me was Steve Harvey's parachute. So, um, in the video, basically what it is you're 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 at the cliff of life. You're literally at the edge. You're on a cliff, and you see your friends kind of like jumping off the cliff and soaring and going to like resorts and all these things. Like they're traveling the world. They're ahead of you, right? And you're still there. You're still at the same position. You're still at the same time, and it's kind of like you're kind of sad, but you're also safe, right? Because you're in your day-to-day type of bubble. Nothing's
Mhm,
bothering you. You're not moving up. You're not progressing back. Things like that. But in order to kind of like truly soar, one of the things that he says is you have to jump. You have to take risks and you have to leap. So you have to improve yourself. So maybe the first time you fall, you might hit the cliff, hit some rocks and everything. but you will eventually soar. The only thing is, if you never jump, you have a safety net, you will never soar. And that really made me think of like the reason I wanted to change my life. It's like, yes, I might have to take some risks, but if I do it properly and I continue on pushing with it, most likely I'm gonna be able to soar, right? And
Dude.
hopefully be able to kind of like expand my knowledge and expand kind of like my interactions with the world compared to I can stay within a safe bubble, but that bubble is gonna be safe for so long.
Yeah, I could feel it because I think when we last met up, when you came over for that raid, right? And you were like dropping like the like capital formation and VC stuff, and I was like, oh, this guy knows. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, it was very impressive.
Yeah, because like for me, I wanted to learn as much as I can, right? Because like the thing about like every subject that I'm interested in, there's so many, but each one I would dive into it and say like I want to learn more about this. How do I find professionals or kind of like learn more about books and stuff like that? It's because like the more I can learn, the more I can utilize that knowledge and hopefully help someone or even help myself or help my friends,
Mhm.
right? Because once again, if I bring myself up or kind of like me and my friends bring ourselves up, like everyone's gonna eat, everyone's
Yeah.
gonna, everyone's gonna grow with me. And it took me a while to also notice that the friends that do not want to grow with you have to have a circle that wants to grow with you.
Of course.
Because if not, you're going to be demotivated from it. Now,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean cut all your friends that, don't want to change, but it's kind of like the ones that you know for business, the ones that you know for personal.
Of
You want to
course.
keep those separate
Circle.
or together if you want to as well. But you want to be able to continue on, improving yourself day after day.
That's amazing, dude. Hmm. Oh, whoa. That's some good stuff. You should be like yeah, a coach too, dude. Like coaching people too. I
Yeah.
feel like the leap is really hard, dude. Like for me, like the past year, dude, I've hit multiple rock bottom points, and even like my friend Jeff was telling me you should start a podcast. He told me this like for 1 year. It took me a year until like and now like I start taking the action, one step, the action, and now it's like, well, my life is
You jumped.
it's improved dramatic. Yeah, the jump. It's hard, but if I can do it, then so can you,
But
the
it's
audience,
it's
I guess.
you gotta believe in yourself too, right? Because like if you're taking a risk and you don't understand like what you're doing, find ways to figure it out. If it's something that you don't like to do, then hey, you jumped, you took the risk, but you might want to reevaluate, get back on top of that cliff, and then jump again, right? So it's like as long as you're within an area to where you're happy, because you can create happiness and work, and it's not considered work, right? If you have a
Mhm.
job or, a job or a passion that doesn't feel like work, that's like the best motivating thing to do. It's because then your day has purpose
Mhm.
compared to, hey, I can make $1 million, but I got to go to a cubicle. I got to sit here. I got to do this. That's not going to conform you into, being creative and being the person that you want to be. Of course, the money's good, but at the same time, is like, is this something that you truly value for yourself? And if you do, then okay, maybe you have a strategy for it. Work 5 years, save up enough money, do what I love. Cool. As long as you're taking, as long as you're planning, because like a lot of people don't, what was it? They don't fail to, what was it? They don't, yeah, they don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. Right? So it's like if you plan out your life and try to hit those goals accordingly, it doesn't mean that you have to hit, "Oh, I have to hit $1 million today and make $1 million today." It's like, "Hey, by this time, this is what I want in my life." Right? You gotta be a little selfish with life sometimes and say, "This is what I want. Now how do I
Mhm.
get there?" Instead
Mhm.
of trying to take it from everybody, it's like, "How do I build
Mhm.
that for myself?"
Mhm. That's cool, man. I really like how like you don't. I think you don't judge a book by its cover, but you judge it by like the content of its character.
Yep,
Right? Am I correct?
I do.
And
Yeah.
and that's kind of like the thing for my podcast. I'm aiming towards something a little similar to that eventually. So it's like there's gonna be a wide variety of people who I put in here that are from all walks of my life that have been kind to me that have helped me grow. So it's gonna be cool, man.
Yeah, for
Uh,
for me, it's kind of like if you judge a book by its cover, it's like basically like, who are you to judge? Like, are you any better than anyone else? Like, everyone's human, so you guys are on the same footing. The only thing is like for me, I dislike everyone the same. I love everyone the same. No one has any ups and downs with everything. If I don't know you, then it's like, I wouldn't care as much if I know you as like my best friend, right? But at the same time, I wouldn't be like, hey, I'll give you special treatment over this other person
Mm,
just
yeah.
because of, anything that happens. I rather say, like, I rather have it to where if someone did me wrong, oh, I remember that. I remember that because then it's like that mentality of, someone did me wrong. I'm not going to trust this person. And the hardest thing to earn is trust. Like I don't trust people easily, and I don't give trust out easily as well. And I don't think anyone should. So trust should be earned, not given. So once you earn someone's trust, and once you earn that person's trust, that person is willing to be there for you, the ups and downs. And that takes some time. So it's not like a random stranger can earn your trust at the same time. But at the same time, it's kind of like if it's that give and take relationship, that's where the trust is kind of like it's going to mature over time to see how it fosters. If it's just going to be a take, same thing. That trust is going to slowly go down. Same thing for give, slowly go down as well.
Yeah. Speaking of, I guess, I mean, you're gonna go into the crypto game stuff, right? I feel like you're gonna kill it, dude. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, I
I'm
see it
I'm
already,
waiting
dude.
to exploit all the games. I've I've said this on stage a few times at some of the conferences. I'm waiting for games to release so I can exploit them. And it sounds like a really bad thing, but no,
Uh,
it's because like if I the thing is like games should optimize themselves to not be exploited, right? Like they should try to find ways to make sure that it's protected and all this stuff. So like if I can find any little thing, I'm not gonna. Well, of course, I'll tell the team if like I'll tell the team to kind of
mm,
fix it and everything. Because then again, it ruins a company whenever a game, something happens to it. Like you
yeah.
looked at all the FPS games in the early days. Whenever you see hackers in a lobby, it's like the game experience is ruined and their user base starts dropping down.
Mhm.
Same thing for like all the other games that like anything that involves with hacking or exploit like GTA and stuff. That's a little bit different because there's mods. But if you're going into like a public lobby, there's hacks and everything there. It's really difficult to play the game and enjoy it. So I'm waiting to kind of exploit it because then again, it's a pro and a con. The pro is I can tell you this before it happens. The con of it is I might exploit it for a little bit. So I'll have a little fun, but I'll let you know that I'm having fun.
And the on the topic of like exploiting a game, right? If games become more tied to like financial assets, like how like what the regulation on that? Like what I have no idea what that's gonna look like, or like what does it
Well,
mean?
I'm not gonna
Like,
keep the money. I'm gonna give it back.
oh,
You know what I mean? Like
oh,
that's
oh,
yeah. If I so that's the thing. That's okay. So that's the thing. One, you're stealing money or assets and stuff. That's totally wrong. You should not do that. Right? Something happens, be
yeah,
nice about it because this
yeah,
company worked really, really hard to push out this as an
yeah,
asset, put out this game, build their community.
yeah.
Like you're kind of like you think of like this is like their passion. They built this as a baby and kind of like made it foster and grow to a community and also have products and everything. They spent a lot of money into it. If you're taking away someone's pride and joy, then it's kind of like it really sucks, right? So you got to think of it in the other person's perspective, or the other
Mhm.
company's perspective. Is that if this is something that exploits it to where it's like it's going to hurt their user base, like, don't hurt their company. Let them know about it so that later on they can fix it. And what will happen is that now their community gets stronger over time with it, right? And that relationship of me saying I'm giving without expecting anything in return. I don't want any monetary value and expect any return. I want you to start marketing more so that more people get into the crypto space or getting into the blockchain gaming space so that more people can enjoy it. Right. Instead of fighting amongst ourselves as companies and teams, it's like we have to work together to make it a reality, to kind of bring it into a bigger scale perspective.
That's cool. So you're kind of like so say like a white hacker, right? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah. It's kind of like
is that white
like
hat?
a white hat.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? White hat. Sorry, yeah, white hat.
Even though
Oh,
I don't get paid for it, but, I'll try to
I
find ways to
feel
exploit it just to have fun, and then I'll let them know.
I feel like there's a way that you could, I mean, create the Twitter thread on that stuff, write the Substack on this thing. This, I think that's a valuable skill, dude. That that you could get paid for.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I run Decentral and kind of like all these other
Yeah.
things.
So
So for me, it's like, if I can exploit a game or find a way to exploit it, it's just for fun, and then I'll
fun.
kind of like, not try to do that again or whichever. But it's not
That's-
about like, "Hey, I kind
yeah.
of exploit it and then pay me money," you know? Like,
No.
I don't want
Yeah.
it as a portion.
Okay. Because I'm trying to. I mean, I wonder if that like. I mean, it's it ties to like the passion economy and kind of like in the future you get to like basically get paid for doing what you find fun. You know.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's something you want to think about too as well. Like later on, like 'cause that's what I think podcasting is fun, and I'm trying to, get paid for it. I don't know.
Mhm. Well, yeah, that's a different one. It's like if like for hacking portion, there's no effort. It's basically extracting value from the company though. So like if you look
Mm,
at it like hacking games, the
mm,
one that actually gets hurt the most is basically the user base and the gaming
mm.
company, right?
Oh,
So like let's say for example, MapleStory, where I was kind of like doing it to where I do power leveling services and all that stuff, but I was able to gather a lot of the in-game currency. The in-game currency can be generated. It's just a number. It's just little bytes of zeros and ones. But if more of it is flooded into the economy, what happens is that things get inflation and all this stuff, especially if it has a marketplace and everything. Items go down in pricing and stuff like that, which could hurt or hurt the game in terms of other people that are playing legitly to where they really worked hard for this and spent time, time and money into it, and then it becomes a less valuable source. So you don't want to exploit it to cause it harm because the only ones harming, once again, community and also the company, right? The company, depending on kind of like the assets, if it's an in-game like digital one to where it's in a database, that thing can be printed to infinity, right? It's just an account. It's just an account system of this is how much gold this person has. This is how much items this person have. But when it comes to like blockchain gaming, that's a little bit of a different story because maybe some of these assets do convert to dollars and stuff like that, which
mm,
means that it could kill an in-game economy. If you kill an in-game economy, it could kill literally the company, and in return, the entire community loses money as
yeah.
a collective,
Huh.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just like I find your talent or what you find fun very very interesting. So I'm gonna like think about that a lot. Um, well, could you apply your like your white hat hacking skills to like other kinds of systems besides video games? Because that I don't know.
I'm not a developer, so
Yeah.
what I do is that usually like cheat engine is the easiest
Oh,
one to use. Everyone
uh,
uses cheat engine,
uh,
but the other things like whenever there's like hacking shields that are installed, like safeties and stuff like that, they don't know that you can inject a DLL into it to kind of make it to where you bypass that system. So you can go into in a game, use cheat engine, and just literally like speed hack or do whatever, right? You can set the hacks on there. Packet editing is another one, but yeah, yeah. But for each one of them, depending on the gaming servers, some things are called client sided and some things are server sided. Server
mm,
sided is when it actually affects the entire game and it's like affecting the servers in the game. Client side is like I can change my character to have a different avatar without paying for that avatar, and it's only viewable to me. So things like that, like small things like that. There's a lot of like different nuances to it depending on like
mhm,
what you want to do with your exploits. But once again, it's like something that the developers didn't intend to have, and to kind of like, it's not a feature, but you can make it fun, right? I can make my character into another character if I wanted to. Like for example, like League of Legends, there's a character called Amumu, and basically I didn't code it, but basically I downloaded it to where you change the hidden file the you change the game files to where he's Spider Man. So whenever he shoots out his
whoa.
little thing, it's literally a Spider-Man, and he does his ultimate where like puts a big circle. It's like a big web coming out. So
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah,
Do
so
you still play
that's
League?
something like
Oh, sorry.
harmless. No,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you still play League Legends
no,
or?
I play TFT now. That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Man, I think I want to kind of explore the crypto gaming stuff with you a little if I have time. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I actually just won a iPhone. So I was playing the Central Games has a game called Ice Poker Flex. So basically that one you can play poker, and then if you
Nice.
win in that it's in a shootout, basically you get points, and then you can take those points. They're called tournament I think like tournament bounties or tournament trophies or something. And
Yeah.
what happens after a while, you can redeem them for stuff. So you can check my Twitter. I just received I just finally got my points for an iPhone 14.
Whoa! Congrats. So,
Yeah.
all right, all right. So you're playing poker in
Yeah.
your part of your project as well, right? The Central Games Ice Poker
No.
Flex.
So that's a separate company.
Oh, this. Oh, okay, okay. My bad.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. I need to tell my friend Jeff. He like poker. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm a poker
Yeah.
guy, so
You are? No.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, we should play it. That's fun. That's fun. I guess what else is there for 2023, man? I guess advice for newbies trying to enter because if they're interested in learning about crypto, like what would you say?
Mhm. I would say take it slow. The first thing you want to do is read the Bitcoin white paper. If you come in for speculation, you're going to leave in a speculative moment as well. In terms of if you come in for the money and you're trying to find quick money, fast money, there are opportunities to where some people do get lucky, and that does happen to them. But majority of the time, it's not that case. You want to find the reason why you're investing as well. So if you're buying Bitcoin, or you're buying Ethereum, you're buying whichever asset that you want. Like once again, you have your own free will. You can do whatever the hell you want. You can buy whatever you want and do whatever you want. But at the same time, it's kind of like if you're using it from an investing perspective, look at the reason why you're investing into it, and if you have a strategy for it, right? And then afterwards, dive into the different applications of the things. But the most important thing is to learn what blockchain actually is. Because like, yes, you can invest into it, but speculate on it. But if you don't do research on your investment or, research on why you're putting money in, then if you lose it, it's kind of like you don't know why or what happened to it or why people invest into it and stuff. So I would read the Bitcoin white paper. Afterwards, learn about the Ethereum white paper. Kind of like look at some of the cryptos that you're kind of like getting interested into and something that interests you. So there's like different opportunities like fashion, metaverse, there's gaming, there's a new one called decentralized science that's coming up. There's AI, there's NFTs for more like community portions. There's development portions, security, like finance, depending on the industry that you want to have your specifications in and stuff, where you want to learn more. The hardest thing is to just sit down before you go, crazy into crypto and everything, is to just learn the basics and just try to ease your way into it. Now, if you learn a lot about it already, you're still like, hey, I've learned about it for like years and years and years. Continue on learning because like the space always grows. There's always
No,
something new. There's always something new. So it's kind of like if you continue yourself learning, if this is something that maybe you don't have all that time to kind of learn about it, try to find people that you can learn from that actually provides this. What content creators, anyone that's going to be giving you information, as long as you do your due diligence. And one of the things in crypto is called don't trust, verify. So making sure that you verify the information and everything, and before you believe in it and stuff, just try to verify everything as much as you can. And the thing about crypto is that it's very transparent. If something happens on the blockchain, you as an individual can go on there and just look up yourself. So it doesn't require anyone else, but it just requires you taking the time to actually learn the industry.
that's crazy. That's so cool. And I guess one final question is what is your favorite meme?
My favorite meme would be I do this all the time. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
Right. And another question is have you ever done a cliff dive? You've done cliff diving before, right? Like actual cliff diving?
Cliff diving? No. No, no,
Would
no.
you be down? Do you swim?
Uh, I mean, I can swim. I can swim.
Uh,
I
uh,
don't mind cliff diving.
uh,
I mean, you want to do the parachute? Is that what you want to do?
no, I mean this. I know a cliff like near like Pro Del Mar that I used to jump off of. It's kind of fun.
I mean, as long as there's safety precautions, we're
I
good to
mean,
go on
it's
that.
I've done it twice and it's okay, but there are risks though. But I don't know. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah, yeah.
There's one. So like my favorite one is it's like Baby Yoda. It says like you the best. It's kind of like little
Uh,
Baby Yoda just
uh,
going like this. The reason why is because like he's kind of chill, and that's like the way I like to live myself too. A very chill person, and I don't know, it just represents me.
that's cool, man. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge and this. Yeah, it's incredible your growth, bro. So let's keep going and keep winning.
Yeah, because like just taking it a step at a time, and once again, it's just keeping every day as a reminder that you always want to try to improve yourself. So like for me, even if it's reading a book or trying to learn more about a subject or finding ways to see other interests or do research and everything. Maybe a little nerdy, like I'm always researching or trying to like find ways to learn more about stuff.
Hell yeah,
But
bro.
I just kind of like caught the research bug. It's just literally I want to learn, and it's like
Yeah.
you're a forever student because you will never learn as many things in your entire life. But there's things that once you get interested in, just try to find out more about it.
Cool, man. Hope you
Mhm.
have a great weekend and yeah, we'll chat more later. Yeah.
Likewise, likewise. You have a good one.
You too, man.